because our solidarity is so important. And that's really what's at risk, I think, in our society. That's why this is a great time for this to be occurring here in San Diego, of coming together, because what binds us together is a sense of the transcendent, the sense that we are called to go beyond ourselves, and to look to the divine and ask, not what people are we, but what are the people we are called to be? And how can we build that kind of a community here in this place? So it is a great joy for me to be here and to speak to you today. And I think there are different levels and dimensions to the bonds of union which we are called among our various faiths to have with one another, as faith communities and as individuals of faith. The first is solidarity. That is, at those moments of real crisis in society. I was at the Nunciature, which is the Vatican Embassy, I don't know, about 8 months ago for dinner, and they had just gotten, that staff had just gotten back from New York for planning for the Pope's trip. And so they had, it's very intricate, you know, and all these things that go on. And they had it all planned out. They sent everything over to Rome, and the changes came back. There was only one change that the Pope made himself. They were supposed to have the Interfaith service at a synagogue, which actually, and the rabbi was all pleased. And actually, they eventually still kept the visit to the synagogue. But the Pope changed the Interfaith service from the synagogue to Ground Zero, because he said, this is the place that binds together the people of the United States, and this is where we should speak about the issues of peace and unity among faiths. And thus, on that day, I watched the service. I watched it on television, and it was a beautiful service because all of the different faiths were there. And each spoke in their own language or sung in their own language of faith. And there was such a sense of solidarity, of oneness there. And that's one element of the bonds which unite us as peoples of faith. In times of crisis, or in times when there are assaults upon particular religious groups among us, that we stand together. It's crucial that we do that. And it's crucial we be public in doing that. And it is crucial that we stand up and say to forces of hatred, whatever they may be, and however uncomfortable it makes us to say that, to stand up and resist attacks upon any religious group or any community in our midst. And that's solidarity. That's standing together against a foe which is the foe of every one of us. Anyone who attacks a faith of ours attacks us all. And that has to be part of our understanding of what it means to be people of real interfaith relations. And so that's the first level, I think, that of solidarity. And the second level is that of collaboration, and much of what you were speaking about earlier that goes on here. The wonderful work that goes on among peoples of all faith through ecumenical and interfaith networks that calls people to look beyond their own faith community and to reach out and to be part of something larger. To be part of something that ministers to the whole community, to a particular need. Because it not only accomplishes that work better in the society in which we live, it's more effective. But that's not the primary way we should do it. The primary reason we should do it is because it changes our own consciousness of who we are in this society and what our faith means to us. Because it means that faith is not something which primarily separates, but faith is something that primarily brings us together and can very effectively bring us together in action. And I think we all understand That not only for us as leaders in the faith communities, but also for our people as a whole. Action is a way which can bind people together and overcome blinders of ignorance or just unfamiliarity. And so it is that collaboration which can deepen our understanding, deepen our ties, and be bridges to a deeper understanding of what faith means in action, not only in our own lives, not only as we apply it as individuals, not only as we apply it as individual faith communities, but the faith community as a whole of this county of San Diego. A third dimension of the relations, I think, which we should have together is that of exploration, of coming to understand each other's faith communities better. And I have to say, one of the great problems for our Catholic community, it's a large faith community, okay? And there are great things that come of that. But one of the problems is we often don't have the initiative to explore the faith of others and the other faith communities and to be enriched by that. And so I think it's important for us as communities of faith in terms of building bridges to understand better what each other teaches, what the various faith communities teach, because it is ignorance of that which feeds some of the great sinfulness in our midst, and some of the labeling, and some of the exclusion. And so exploration is important, and it leads to the next level, which is even deeper than that. And that is what the Pope calls, I think rightly, the level of encounter. Exploration means we try to get an understanding of what we believe. Okay. I've been co-chair of the Catholic-Muslim Dialogue in the West for a few years. When we get together, we have wonderful moments of trying to understand what each other believes. And we had about 2 years ago, the Muslim group asked that it be on jihad. And they prepared papers on jihad, and we prepared papers on Catholic teaching of world peace. And it was a wonderful understanding that grew out of that. And that's what exploration is. Encounter something deeper, though. Encounter is when we actually believe that by coming to understand the faith of others, we will encounter in a deeper way the truth. It's not just to understand what people believe. That's exploration. Encounter means we believe that when we dialogue with all of the various faith communities, ecumenically, among the Christian communities, interfaith, among all of the communities of faith that exist in this county, the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the Hindu community, the Buddhist community, that we will be enriched in our own understanding of the truth about the transcendent and about who we are as moral individuals and what we're called to be. And so my hope is that our bonds as they grow together will reach that level where we truly understand that when we talk with one another and come to appreciate insights of faith, that other faiths can speak to us with the power or sometimes an insight or a prism about the truth that can bring us to a new level of understanding. And the final, I think, dimension of our interfaith and ecumenical relations is that of accompaniment. Accompaniment means walking with each other. But it doesn't mean just collaborating in specific acts. Accompaniment means this. Each of us has a mission and a purpose in this life here on this earth, which is at its core transcendent. And that we are called to walk this journey together here in this life. All of us, of every community of faith, to accompany one another, to understand that in the hearts and souls of every individual, there are mysteries we will never understand, but must always accept and support and walk with and help and participate in. And that's true of our communities of faith too. That we accompany one another, and we look on that as one of the pivotal tests of our own religious faith. It really is that we cannot, in our Catholic faith, you cannot be fully Catholic if you do not seek to have that level of relationship with every human person and with every community and individual of faith. So I hope and pray that, as you're struggling, as I'm struggling with you, as we try to figure out how do we move forward in this county, that those different dimensions, which already exist in some forms, can be built upon and enriched and deepened. And it's certainly my hope that the Catholic community will be an active participant in that effort. And that as we come to each succeeding year, we may know with ever greater depth and purpose, we are called to be together in solidarity and in collaboration and in exploration and in encounter and in accompaniment. Because we can be that type of an interfaith community with a lot of hard work and a lot of effort and a lot of commitment of heart and soul and spirit. So I hope and pray that we will have many times when we get together and become ever more deeply the interfaith community that we are called to be. Thank you very much.